Blog Talk Radio.
Join BluPrint Radio each Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. BluPrint Radio host Gloria Thornwell interviews organization leaders on trends and best practices in business and human capital management, business and human resource leadership, and being a change champion in the new global business economy. www.blogtalkradio.com/BluPrint LLC.
Hi, and welcome to BluPrint Radio. BluPrint Radio is a division of the BluPrint Leadership Institute, and on the BluPrint Radio show, we interview organization leaders and change management professionals who are subject matter experts in human capital management, business strategy, government contracting, and those who have reinvented and led organization transformation in the new global and changing economy. I'm Gloria Thornwell, Human Resource and Management Consultant, and your BluPrint Radio show host. Training. The objective of a training session is to ensure that the participants take away learnings that can be immediately applied in the work setting or at home or otherwise. And we expect that our trainers at any level are well prepared with the appropriate techniques and tools to transfer the intended body of knowledge to the students or to the learners, if you will. Many of us have participated in training programs and training courses with exceptional trainers who sometimes are referred to as learning leaders. And these learning leaders were just stellar. And then other times we have participated in training sessions with trainers who are a little less skilled. So our discussion topic today is improve your professional training skills. And on the line is a master trainer, Elaine Gipson. She's a certified learning leader who has facilitated and delivered many, many training sessions across the United States in all sectors, including commercial, government, other nonprofit organizations, and also to institutions of higher learning. We want to welcome Elaine to BluPrint Radio. I really enjoy training. I enjoy training, teaching, facilitation, and I'm always working toward improvement and working toward perfection. So I know we have some listeners on our show today with similar interests. So I want to discuss today training fundamentals so that those who may have interest in becoming a trainer for the first time will understand basic concepts and tips to prepare for their first training event. So we're going to go to a commercial break, but when we return, we're going to begin our discussion on improving your professional training skills with our special guest, Elaine Gipson. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Did you know that when you take a BluPrint Leadership Institute course, you can earn credits towards your PHR, SPHR, and GPHR recertification? The BluPrint Leadership Institute is certified by the Human Resource Certification Institute and by the International Accreditation Organization. Earn CEUs in project management, finance, executive development, and in other disciplines that will keep you current as a 21st century business leader. Register today. www.blueprint-llc.com.
Welcome back to BluPrint Radio. I am Gloria Thornwell, your BluPrint Radio show host, and our topic today is improving your professional training skills. Our special guest is Elaine Gipson. Elaine is a master trainer and certified training professional. She's also a BluPrint Leadership Institute faculty member. Welcome again, Elaine, to BluPrint Radio, and can you hear us?
Yes, good evening, Gloria. It's good to speak with you, and good evening to your listening audience.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us today. And so many of my audience members know that I like to just dive right in, so I'm going to dive right in if you don't mind. So my first question for you, Elaine, is, and I want to level set, so I want you to define for our listening audience the difference between a trainer and a facilitator. What's the difference?
Okay, well, that is a wonderful question to ponder as well as to respond to. Let me share with you and the listening audience maybe 3 points on each, and then I also see where it comes together. For the trainer is 1.1 technically. The technical content is really the primary focus and the expertise of the trainer. And we're looking at adult trainers when we're talking about the differences, as well as the actual position. Secondly, the trainer is really armed to deliver specific knowledge, information, and application in targeted subject areas. The third point that comes to mind when we're looking at trainers is that the trainer is really looking for the learner's outcome to enhance their own knowledge, skills, and competencies. So when learners are coming in, they are developing the knowledge, skills, and competencies on specific subject areas. If we flip over to the other side of your question, the facilitators are really focused very strongly on easing the group into their process and their progress. They have a lot of different process tools that they use to help the group do this easily and simply. And even the root meaning of the word facilitation is facil, which is to ease or to make simple. The second point that I'd like to share about facilitators is that the facilitators have a lot of different approaches to group interaction. That's a high priority. And very often they're working with groups that are going to explore, examine, create solutions, and or address complex issues. So the need for a lot of different process approaches and methodologies and group interaction is really key. And the last point about facilitators is that facilitators are using facilitation skills usually guides groups through multiple tasks. So the task might, at one event, easily be coaching, decision-making, polling, evaluations, idea generation. So all of that can be, meshed into one particular event. One of the things that I think we need to underscore is that a real excellent or learned kind of learning leader is able to stimulate the environment for participation. That's whether you're a trainer or a facilitator. Use appropriate methods to assist individuals to reach the desired outcome. And at the end of the day or at the end of the event, the participants are just really looking at what happened to help them reach that outcome. So it's really blurred lines, even though the individual who's the learning leader may use a number of these different skills. I hope that elongated response has been beneficial, but it really is realistic.
Sure. So, and that's a really good, sort of differentiation, and they are very closely related, although there are some differences. My next question, Elaine, is broken down into 3 parts. So the first part is, what are the benefits of training in particular for the learning leader or for the training leader, but also for the participants? What are the benefits of the training for the training leader and the participants? That's part 1.
Okay, all right. Definitely for the training leader or the learning leader, they're able to share information that can enhance the participants. So that's a direct contact between the participants and the learning leader. They also are able to figure out different ways to make this fairly easy or make it institutional within the participant groups as well as the participants, and that's a real skill for them. For the participants that are there, they're able to enhance, they're able to grow, they're able to expand their horizons because they're learning, they're practicing, they're improving their competencies with either new information or a deepening of information that they already know or may be using or may have to use in the immediate future. So one good example is when people are being trained and then they have to apply that training in a particular situation. It might be within an organization or in their particular area that they're working in, or it might be in a new area so that they're able to grow.
So part 2 of my question is, so how does that translate into benefits for the organization, but also for the individual. I think you touched a little bit on the individual when you talked about the participants, but specifically, how does the training translate into benefits for the organization or for the company?
Okay. Excellent on that question, Gloria. One, the bottom line is definitely affected. To the extent where training can then be applied back into the organization. It doesn't matter if the organization is government, for-profit, not-for-profit, community organization. It's going to impact the efficacy of that organization. So that's the bottom line. Second point is that it builds interest and loyalty among the individuals who are, one, the trainers, as well as those individuals who are the participants who are benefiting that. It shows that the organization is investing in the people who are there, the HR, the human capital, the staff, and it also includes staff that might be part-time, staff might be seasonal, just depends on the kind of training, but also many organizations use volunteers, and it's important to be able to invest in those persons also because they're helping, again, the bottom line of the organization, and it's more of a global kind of buy-in as well.
What about and this is part 3 of my question, what about the translation to creating a new vision for the organization and, supporting a culture of diversity?
Well, one thing is for sure that if you don't change anything, then nothing's going to change. So training does help to change things that are in the organization. When there's a new vision, a lot of times that vision might be crafted at a level that is not trickling down to everybody. And even if it is, you can't really establish a new vision and still have the same kinds of things going on. So the vision is well supported by having training, and this is different types of training for different levels of people who are impacted, as we just mentioned earlier, and also to have the training to be ongoing, not just one shot and then that's it, because that does not help to support the vision or understand the vision. So an ongoing training program to support the new vision, and usually with new vision, a lot of new things are rolling out all at different times. So it's very important to keep the training live and active. Absolutely,
and sometimes in order to communicate the new vision or the new vision to organization members or to staff members, to the employees, sometimes it takes the training. And so, the training could be, short or long term, but many times it takes kind of a training session to describe and to explain the new vision to the employees. And sometimes it takes the training so that the employees and the leaders of the organization will buy into, I would say the mid-level leaders will buy into the new vision of the organization.
Well, yes, Gloria, that is really well said. I've worked with organizations where there was a major shift for the organization that had national offices, and we had to roll out a plan, several plans over a period of time to really reach everybody from Boston all the way to San Diego, and it had to be ongoing. And we constantly had to make some changes and make some shifts because it was a very iterative process. I've also been part of situations where there was new vision, new culture that was desired at the top and stayed on the top shelf, and there was not a constant way to really bring people into developing new skills to be able to support the new vision. So guess what? People did not have the kind of confidence that they needed to be able to carry it through.
Absolutely. We're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our discussion on improving your professional training skills. So stay tuned.
Did you know that when you take a BluPrint Leadership Institute course, you can earn credits towards your PHR, SPHR, and GPHR recertification? The BluPrint Leadership Institute is certified by the Human Resource Certification Institute and by the International Accreditation Organization. Earn CEUs in project management, finance, executive development, and in other disciplines that will keep you current as a 21st century business leader. Register today. www.blueprint-llc.com.
Welcome back to BluPrint Radio. I'm Gloria Thornwell, your BluPrint Radio show host. Our discussion today is on improving your professional training skills, and we have on the line our special guest, Elaine Gipson. She is a certified training and facilitation professional, and she's also one of the faculty members in our BluPrint Leadership Institute. Elaine, let me ask, are there, and so I'm going to shift the discussion just a little bit here to, again, help those who are interested in becoming a trainer perhaps for the first time. Let me ask, are there questions that the trainer, and or facilitator should be aware of prior to the session? So, for instance, at the planning or at the consultation stage, what questions or are there questions that they should be aware of or should ask before planning the training event?
Yes, absolutely. I carry 6 of them in my hip pocket. The first one is the goal, to know the goal and the expected goal. And again, we're looking at it from the consultation and the planning stage. You want to be clear, and you want to be able to uncover agendas with knowing exactly what the expected goal is. Second point, you want to know who's involved, who are the stakeholders, who are the participants, are they vested? Oftentimes, someone may decide that they want to have a training of a particular type. However, they may not be the stakeholders. Where are the stakeholders? Is this going to be performance? Is this related to visionary kinds of goals? Third point, what's been done before? You do want to know what's been done before to address this particular interest area or issue. Is this a new time? Is this a new endeavor? Has it been done before with success? Has it been repeated with little results? That will help you to understand the landscape before you begin to actually do the planning and delivery. Fourth, what are the limitations related to this issue? Is there a limit on time, money, authority, space, people? Is it that there are no limitations? That's really helpful to know. The next point that you want to take a look at is what would success look like once this is addressed? And again, you're having this conversation with the planners, with perhaps the stakeholders or the organizers. So how do they see success once this particular issue, area, or event happens and things are addressed? And lastly, 6th point, how will the behavior change? Is this going to change the participants' behavior? Will this change the functional operations of the environment that is going to be affected by the subject matter? Those would be the 6 things that I would say are really, really useful, and I learned these things a long time ago the hard way. So if you're listening and using that, this will save you a lot of headache.
Yeah, sometimes, learning it, through, kind of OJT on the job is, sometimes the best way to learn it, because you learn it and you really learn, what worked, what didn't work, what to do again, what not to do again. And so sometimes, the errors and mistakes helps you the next time. Let me ask you, so in preparation for the training event, what are some other components? So in terms of the room, the environment, the post-session application, talk a little bit about, because you talked a lot about some other items in terms of preparation, but as it relates to the room, the place where the training is going to take place, what about that? Share some key components on how the trainers can prepare.
Yeah, okay. We'll start with things like the room and the environment. Oh, who among us has not gone into a room and it just wasn't quite the right situation for what we were trying to do? You want to be aware of the room. If you can select the right room, that would be good. One quick example. If you want to have an interactive kind of training, learning, skill-building session, probably a big boardroom that can seat about 25 or so people is not going to be the kind of room that you want to have. So you want to think about what the outcome is and have the kind of room, physical room, that's going to work pretty well. You also want to change the room environment. Again, a lot of times we can go in and we can change the way a room looks with graphics and flip charts and seating and those kinds of things that are really going to help people to learn or to reach the outcomes that they want to do it. It may be more of a staged kind of a learning situation where that wouldn't work, and that's okay. You just want to make sure that you have the right thing. If the training is going to be technology-based, you need to have equipment, the right kind of equipment, the right kind of room. It needs to be large enough, equipment working, all those kinds of things. Or if people are going to bring laptops, everything should be working correctly. You also want to know things like who's going to be in the room. Are these all peers? Are these multi-level professionals? Are you going to have management and supervisors and frontline people in at the same time? If so, that can be a little bit dicey, but you want to prepare for all of these kinds of things. I mentioned technology and graphics, and you need to always have a plan B because, as we know, technical difficulties can occur, and so we want to make sure that you are always prepared for that. What's going to happen afterwards? So once people leave and they're well-armed with all the information and it seems like everybody got it, are they taking a test? Do they have to leave? Or are they going to do something else? Or was this just nice-to-know information? Sometimes trainings are set up and they really are nice to know, but nobody's going to have to do anything very serious with that information. And that's okay as long as you know that you can plan what you're doing appropriately. Let me speak to the trainer aspect of this. You want, as a trainer, have a good comfort level. So that means that anything that's going to help you be settled, be knowledgeable, any kind of tchotchkes or things that you can use to help you stay on point, stay on track, have a plan B. You want to be able to know that you've got as high a comfort level as you possibly can. There's sometimes when you want to try out a few new techniques, and you need to make sure that it's the right environment for you as a trainer or as a learning leader, because as long as you're commanding the room, you are the leader. As was said in the movie, you're the leader now or you're the captain now.
Absolutely. So we have just a few minutes left. We have about 8 minutes left. I want to move on quickly. We're going to take one short commercial break, and when we return, we're going to dig a little bit deeper and talk about the trainer's toolbox, which is really key. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know that when you take a BluPrint Leadership Institute course, you can earn credits toward your PHR, SPHR, and GPHR recertification? The BluPrint Leadership Institute is certified by the Human Resource Certification Institute and by the International Accreditation Organization. Earn CEUs in project management, finance, executive development, and in other disciplines that will keep you current as a 21st century business leader. Register today. www.blueprint-llc.com.
Welcome back to BluPrint Radio. Our discussion today is on improving your professional training skills. I'm Gloria Thornwell, your radio show host, and our expert on the line today is Elaine Gipson. She's a master trainer and faculty with the BluPrint Leadership Institute. Elaine, before the break, I said when we come back, we're going to dig a little deeper, and we're going to talk about a trainer's toolbox, which is a really important component. We have just a few minutes left, but I want you to tell our listening audience what are some examples of the items that should be in items or tools that they should be included in a trainer's toolbox?
Okay, all right. Great question. If you're an entry-level trainer, you may not have all of these things, but if you start to work in one of our training sessions, then you'll be able to build that. Typically, our trainer toolbox is going to include a number of different climate setters. People also call them icebreakers. Let's assume that there's no ice in the room, so climate setters might be another way to take a look at that. But you want to have quite a few of these to be able to use. You want to have brainstorming techniques. Even though you may not be doing a lot of heavy new idea and idea generation, brainstorming is really a really good piece to always have in your toolbox. Technology presentations. So many training events now rely on technology presentations, and that's fine as long as you've got a good balance. Some of the technology needs to be balanced with some hands-on activities, and that takes us to the participant interaction. So you've got the technology presentation, and there's a number of different pretty savvy and creative ones that you can use to make sure that you're able to get the participant interaction going. There's many, 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 many different types of activity to do with participants. Some are long, some are short, some are fun, some are a bit more studious, but you, again, want to have this level of diversity in your toolbox. You want to have things that are going to help you with the room setups. Well, I talked quite a bit before the break about the room setups, having different charts and ways that you can remember who people are and good setups in the room. That's really what the room setups is going to help you to do. Participant knowledge assessment. There's a lot of different ways to do assessments, and what I'm speaking about here would be ways that you can assess participants' engagement, participants' participation, participants' learning curve, all of these kinds of things that help you excel as a learning leader and help them to get what it is that the event is all about in terms of the outcomes. You definitely want to be able to use facilitation strategies. As I mentioned in the opening, there are some differences between facilitators and trainers, but having the ability to use both and to really make it a smooth kind of a blurred line approach is really a key to becoming a really excellent learning leader. So you want to learn if you don't have enough facilitation strategies in your toolbox. Training strategies, same thing, not the same subject matter, but it's the same thing in terms of having the proper strategies in your toolbox that will help people to learn at a deeper level, enhance their skills, and improve their competencies. Adult learning principles. Yeah, adult learning principles. One of the things that we as adults don't like is that we're not in kindergarten anymore, so we don't like to be in the kind of sessions where we feel like we're being, played with in terms of kindergarten style all the time. That means that also with adults, we want to be able to give information as well as receive information. So you want to be able to really do that pretty skillfully because that's going to really help people participate at the highest level. Activity templates. Yeah, if you already have activity templates and you have other things like Mr. Sketch, I love Mr. Sketch magic markers because they smell good, they don't smell bad, they write very well, they're colorful. You want to have other things like Post-it, there's squares, there's stars, there's dots, there's arrows, there's Play-Doh, there's all kinds of things that you would use, and you use these as props. A lot of times we have participants that do different activities where they can poll. I used to like to use a lot of Play-Doh. I just put it on the table for everybody who's going to be in the session, especially if it's multi-day. And after a while, you find that people start to do some things that get their creative juices going, and when people opt out on whatever is being presented, kind of get into that before they come back in. And I think
Elaine, we have about 2 minutes left, Elaine. We have to close out. I apologize for cutting you off. We have to close out. We have about 2 minutes. We have about 2 minutes left, and so I want to just kind of close out and say, so for anyone who's interested in becoming, a trainer for the first time, there's some things to really remember and to think about, one of which is to understand the goals of the session, understand who is going to be in the room, participants. Also understand, the room environment before going into the training space. It's always a great idea to check out the training space the day ahead or 2 days ahead, and then always have extra items in your toolbox. So we've had a great and detailed discussion today with Elaine Gipson, our certified master training professional and faculty with our BluPrint Leadership Institute. Elaine, we want to thank you for joining BluPrint Radio and sharing your expertise on how one might become a more proficient trainer. In May, Elaine will lead an entry-level Train the Trainer course at our BluPrint Training Center. You can learn more at www.blueprint-llc.com. Click on Leadership Institute and then on Leadership Tracks. Thank you for joining BluPrint Radio. We hope you will join us each Tuesday at 7 p.m. Until next time.
Join BluPrint Radio each Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. BluPrint Radio host Gloria Thornwell interviews organization leaders on trends and best practices in business and human capital management, business and human resource leadership, and being a change champion in the new global business economy. www.blogtalkradio.com/BluPrint LLC.